His name is Keith James.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, boy.
How are you?
Actually, he's Philly's finest, but hey, he is Delaware's next great hit.
Yes.
So I have him here, and we're going to talk politics.
Yes, we
haven't
are.
done that in a very long time. We have a whole slew of stuff to talk about, but I wanted to announce him, introduce, my guest, and get this thing going, rolling. So, Mr. James, matter of fact, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate that.
So how has your week been?
The week has been very great, very, very busy on the campaign trail, doing a lot of work. Got a lot of stuff coming up, so but it's been a blessed week, so I'm very excited, very happy.
That's good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yes.
Again, thank you for coming. I know you coming way across town and all that stuff to come to, love it. It's supposed to be, what is it?
City of Brotherly Love. This is.
Y'all have any girls up there? Like, why can't it be the city of love? Why gotta be just designated to the guys? Like, I feel so man. Like, y'all just don't like us. No kind of love.
I was actually born here. I was born in North Philadelphia. Have a lot of family out here in West Philly. Local businesses that are family owned. A lot of family out here. So always got love for the city of brotherly love. Yes.
City of brotherly love.
Love it.
But anyway, check us out. If you haven't already, phillyhotradio.com. Yo, you can call us in at 484-477-6348. In case y'all missed that, let me go grab a pen and a piece of paper. I'll say that for you again. 484-477-6348. Call us up, Q&A, my man. But anyway, let's get this thing going. So you are here to talk about a whole, like you said, a whole slew of things.
Yes.
Let's get right to the point. You are rocking this James Spadola for state. So those who don't know, James Spadola is running for state auditor in Wilmington, Delaware.
Yes.
He's a Republican.
Yes, he is.
But Keith James is a Democrat.
Yes, I am.
So you are a very special different kind of Democrat who is voting, or not so much voting, but pushing others to vote, sway their vote, the Democrats, or should I say,
Yes.
the liberals, to vote for a Republican.
Yes, and I'm actually going to be voting for him as well. So I definitely want to get into that conversation, especially with what's going on in this day and age of just uneducated voters, and why at a critical time like this am I voting and pushing for us to vote for a Republican state auditor in the state of Delaware. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Okay. So before we get into Mr. James, because I've met him, it's interesting. I met him before the primaries. He was out campaigning. Okay. Took a picture, and how ironic that after I took a picture, put it out there, that he literally just floored it. Like, he took off and soared, and I was like, yes, I'm glad I got a part of that one. But, before we touch bases with Mr. Spadola and how you got involved with that, let's touch on you. Because like you said, born and raised North Philadelphia here, and then, you wind up going to Delaware. What prompted you to go to Delaware?
My mom moved the family out of North Philly when I was about 5 years old. So I went through school all in the state of Delaware. And I think it was just better opportunity. My mom, getting set with her professional career as far as massage therapist is concerned, and just had better opportunities for us in Delaware. That's what I'm assuming, at least. And just being out there my whole life, Delaware is so small. Anything happens to one family, it happens to all of us. So I definitely call Delaware my home now. I push for a lot of social change, political change. And I believe that all the hard work is beginning to pay off, but I understand that we have a lot more work to do. So I just want to educate the people, you know, not just in Delaware, but also in Philly, in Pennsylvania, around what we're doing and what we need to do just as a generation.
Yeah, you are right about that. There is some changes that need to be taken care of, but one very interesting thing about you. So before I get into that, riddle me this: how old are you?
I'm 23.
23.
23 years old.
So let me tell you why I asked that question, because before you turned 23, you said, yo, Delaware is doing some stuff that, you know what, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but it's not so much a good thing. And you know what, I think some things need to be tweaked, twerked, and just a little different. And I think, maybe I'm adding something, but I think I can add a little spice to that. So you decided that, hey, the age limit was just a little too high, and I just don't have that much time y'all need right now. So you did what, like I, you know, off the air, I said there was probably a lot of people that thought about it, just never done it.
Yeah.
But you did the ultimate. You took one a little further step ahead, and you did
Lower the marriage. So yeah, in the city of Wilmington, you had to be 30 years old to run for the mayor office. And you know, for me, that was just way too high. There's everything that's happening seems to be happening to a targeted age range of 16 to 25 African American males, as it pertains to, you know, gunshot victims and murders in our city. And so 30 years old, just, you know, those still very close to our age, they can relate, they can educate us, they can teach us, and all are great people. It's just, it doesn't allow for the young people who are trying to connect the dots on picking up that generational torch as it pertains to politics and for our city and our government. It just seems too far out of reach, you know, when you could be 25 to be city council and city council president, but you can't be the mayor. Or you can be 18 and go die for this country, and you can't run for office. You can have a drink, you know, at 21, but you can't run for mayor. So 25 was the first step, and you know, they argued maturity, but I think that should always be left up to the voter on who's qualified, you know, their schooling or their education experience. All of that should be left up to the voter.
Yeah, I agree on that one. So you did. You got everything you needed to do. You went out. Not only did you talk the talk, but you walked the walk. But then you actually got it passed.
Yeah.
So that means come
2020.
Yep. Love those numbers. 2020, you will actually before that. But you're literally starting to, you know, get into it now that you're actually going to be running for mayor.
Well, running for office, running for office in 2020. You know, there's and this experience to lower the age has actually opened my eyes to a lot of the things that's going on. You know, that showed me the responsibility that comes with, you know, being the mayor. You know, I don't necessarily see eye to eye with our current mayor on every particular subject, but when I ask him about the work and he, you know, expresses all of the hard work that goes into the progress of a city, it opens your eyes to a different perspective. When you talk with a number of leaders who are you know, public servants at heart and may have ideas or hopes to run for that same office at that time. You know, there's ways that we can be strategic as a community. I don't want to say as a party because, you know, that's what this whole conversation is about, is, you know, separating us from just doing what's best for the party. But it really comes down to what's going to be best for the people. And if Keith James as the mayor is going to be what's best for the people, or Keith James somewhere else is going to be more beneficial for the people, that's something that we will see as we get closer.
Let me ask you this. What is it about you that says, you know what, when anyone goes to the polling place, they need to vote for you? Because, hey, you know what, we hear it all the time. All these broken promises, and then what happens is you get that one person which trickle down and says, I'm so tired of hearing it. You say the same thing everybody else says. You know, when I get in office, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then when you get in office, you don't do anything. First thing we always say is, I'm not going to vote because they don't do anything for me. So what is it about you that says, not only am I going to get in office, but I'm going to get into office, and I'm going to actually do what I say I'm going to do?
Well, I think it's, it kind of like, faith without works is dead. And so I think my work should and will and has spoken for itself. With that, I mean, I've changed laws without even being a legislator at this point. We've influenced, a lot of key seats in our state. Supported a lot of great people who won. We supported a lot of people who lost. So, but we actively, are pursuing change in our community. And it doesn't necessarily take a title to bring about some of the change that we're seeking. However, that title is something that can be a tool for us to, have better or more faster progress for our communities that sometimes get overlooked and don't get the support that they deserve. So just with me, I mean, I'm a man of my word. My word is my bond. Changing laws before in a position or elected position to change laws, and definitely will continue to do that, as a legislator once elected.
So let me ask you, first three things once you get into office, we speak these things into existence. First three things when you get into office, what would you change?
Well, first three things when I get into office, granted, whatever office that I decide to run for. But, the first three things I think are definitely going to be raising awareness for the opioid crisis that is taking place in our state of Delaware. I was affected by that, drugs at a young age. So that's going to be one of the main things that I raise awareness for once, as well as seeing what's happening in our education. I mean, schools, students are being left behind. Our schools are underfunded in some of our, urban communities. Most of the underperforming schools are in the city of Wilmington, and we have some very high-performing schools in the city of Wilmington. So we're just going to have, focus on education. And then also veteran affairs. We have to make sure that our veterans are getting the support that they need, as well as dealing with the homelessness problem that's taking place. It's a lot of things that we want to focus on, but for those first three things, I'd definitely say the opioid crisis, education, and dealing with the homelessness and helping our vets.
The vets I've been speaking to, not a lot, but a few of the vets, and there's a lot of services that are out there they don't know about. So that's good that you touched on that, and it was great that these vets will have, a reliable source to go to. But let me ask you this one. You are rocking this James Padola shirt, and I'm just antsy to talk about this James Padola, and I want to know more about this James Padola person and why, as a Democrat, you are supporting a Republican.
James is an Iraq War veteran, former Newark, Delaware police officer. He is a man of integrity. He has investigative background. And yes, he is a Republican. In our state of Delaware, it's a very unique state. We have majority Democrat legislators down in Dover, which is our capital. And it makes sense to have a Republican overseeing the money that has already been allocated versus a fellow Democrat. Because when you have a Democrat overseeing the funds that the Democrats are spending, there is more likelihood of things to be overlooked or swept under the rug or not brought to light for the citizens to know about. So supporting a Republican is very strategic because it makes sure that our tax dollars are getting to and being used where they're supposed to be used. When we get into me supporting a Republican as well, it's important to know that when you go out and vote, you should vote for the person. And James is the only person who has investigative background history. He has arrested people, investigated, arrested people for fraud, for misdemeanors, for felonies. He has conducted investigations. Whereas his opponent doesn't really have any of that experience, and is also compromised. she has received, and this is just most recently, so this might be just dropping out to you guys for the first news source or to the people watching on live right now. But what actually happened is Governor John Carney in the state of Delaware donated $1,200 to the Democratic candidate for a state auditor. Here's why that can be a problem. The governor appoints his cabinet, and we also have the leadership, so the Speaker of the House also gave her money. What happens is, when you give them money, that compromises you because you are the person who is set to audit them. So it's like if I have to audit you two, but on my trail to get to this auditing job, I ask you both for money. So now when it's come time to audit, and you guys may know, it's politics in Delaware, some people may not be doing what they're supposed to be doing with money, and then it comes time to audit, and you know that, hey, this program over here really didn't do what it's supposed to do, but I'm good with you, so you're going to ask me, hey, can you look the other way? And it's more likelihood for that to happen. Now, not saying that's anywhere. That compromises you anywhere. And so when we get, talking about, me supporting James, and during the Democratic primary, I didn't support this person because of integrity issues. So what my community and what society has kind of tailored me or wanted me to think now is because she won the primary as a Democrat, I have to get behind her and vote for her, even though I didn't support her because of her integrity issues. So it's as if because she won the primary, I now have to forget that she has integrity issues and just vote the blue. And that's what they're hoping.
That is so refreshing to hear, because let me tell you, almost everyone I know are party line. Either they're in politics and they're party line. I'm a Democrat. I've registered as an independent for the first time. I've always been an independent-minded person. I've been registered Democrat all my life. I vote every election. There's no small election, big election, anything. So I posted online. I finally got the, how we change your registration as independent, and you get to notice back that you. And I was excited because I'm now legally, my political status was exactly how I was always voting all of my life anyway. And I posted it on Facebook. And someone said, "Oh, don't break the Democratic vote." Are you crazy? I never voted party line anyway. I vote individuals and issues, individuals based on their character. So to hear somebody, especially a young man, say that is so refreshing, because to me, the greatest thing the Nazis had was people didn't want to break the party line.
No. Mind you, now you see, young men of his age. Did you get to find out how old this young man is?
No. I had some background from you, and I didn't know the exact age. And plus, I'm looking at him. This man doesn't have a wrinkle on it. Has no gray hair. Look at me.
Got a couple gray hairs.
Got a couple gray hairs. You have a couple?
Yeah, a couple.
Okay.
It's hidden. It's hidden, but this young man is a mover and shaker in Wilmington, Delaware. Literally a mover and shaker. So. He made it possible, because at one point to run for to be a candidate, to run for mayor in Wilmington, to be 30. He actually went out and made sure they lowered the age, so now he would actually be running.
Be able to run.
He will be able to run for a mayor in 2020.
Now, what was the previous age?
30. 30 years old.
And now what is the current age? It's 25. Yes. What was the process like to get that change? Because I know they were scared of you. They trying to hold on to office.
So that timeline was very. That's when I really learned about politics. I'm not going to lie to you when I started that. Right. Because what happened was I do Facebook Live interviews with candidates, and I did it in the 2016 election. Anybody who was running, let's interview, let's talk, let's see what your platform is. It was mostly Democrats. And what happened was when the primary results came back and the mayor won, at the time I was disgruntled with him because he switched over 1,200 Republicans to Democrat to be able to vote for him in the Democratic primary so that he could win. And I was upset when I found that information out. And I put it out there right away. I'm going to change the mayor age. When they looked at the process, City Council began to either say if they were for or against it, and it was looking like the law wouldn't be able to change. But the one problem they made was they made the council president age 25 years old. And if the mayor is not able to fulfill his duties or dies in office, the council president would have to take responsibility as the mayor. And if I was 25 and I was elected in as the council president and something happened to the mayor, I would not be able to be the next chain of command, or not be able to follow the chain of command because I don't meet the age requirement. So it'll be problematic. So while I'm sitting at the table, and they think because I came out and said that they knew my hand. If I'm sitting at the table, you know I'm playing to win, right? But that doesn't mean they knew the hand and they didn't understand that I was going to change it from just a simple fact that they had a flaw in the way they written out the laws. And if you think about it, that could be a lifetime of work if we really look at the laws that are just flawed and try to change them to better fit our community. And that was one of them, and I was blessed to be able to spearhead that. But it's definitely for other people because if there's 25 to 29-year-olds,
bring those fresh ideas, that fresh energy, because here in Philly, and I'm not sure about Delaware, but in Philly, you have people that's been in office 45, 55 years. I mean, they literally get passed down their office to by their predecessors, and they stay there for the rest of their natural lives. And I don't have a problem. I love our elders. I think the wisdom. And when I was young, I gravitated toward my elders. Like when I was in high school, I went to my seniors because they were the ones. But in politics, they get stale and they stop going out to community events. But let me ask you, you said you found out it was during that process of changing the age that you found out about politics. Tell me some of what you found out.
Oh, man. With just politics, you find out that people, especially in a small state, they try to figure out all the dirt on you. All right, so in a small state like Delaware, there really are no secrets. It feels like, you know what I mean? You would think that we live in a small country town where it's only 100 of us, but that's what it feels like sometimes when it comes to certain news. And so what I went ahead and did was I released the book, From Dope to the White House. Right. That tells you.
Put it all out there.
Put it all out there. Let you know.
Tell them what they already know.
But I think that's important, not just for the sake of protecting, protecting myself as far as politics is concerned. But when you think about real life, what's the one? When people get, Mayweather, you think about Mayweather, you think about Jennifer Hudson, right? These are people who are rich, but they have spent a lot of their life impoverished, or they have spent part of their life going through adversity, right? Jennifer Hudson lost her family all within a weekend, you know what I mean, where she finds out that her whole family, or majority of her family, close family, you know what I mean? Mayweather was exposed to drugs in his household, and he had an aunt that passed away from contracting HIV/AIDS because of a dirty needle. You see, but with the one thing that people don't relate to them when they see all this money, that's Money Mayweather. They don't see the adversity. They don't see what happened at the top. You know what I mean? They just see the #1 fighter in the world. That's all they see. They just see Money Mayweather. So,
was that a call that I'm hearing?
You want to get that one?
Yeah. Where's the call? But I'm an amateur.
The first one's right there. The very first one's right on your left, right at the top. Go. Philly Hot Radio, you on the air? Speak to me. Hello? Hello? Philly Hot, talk.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
I know that voice.
Hey, Mr. James, how you doing? Mr. Spadola, we was just talking about you. How you doing?
Are you guys still doing the show?
Yes, we are. And we were actually talking about you.
Yes, sir. You are live.
You are so live.
Awesome. My mom is in town. We're doing a little sign waving just outside 14th Plaza on 896.
Okay.
And greeting some commuters, getting good response. A lot of moms, a lot of waves, a lot of smiles.
Hey James, can you let them know? Just give them your quick spiel of why someone like myself is what they were asking. Why somebody like myself is gravitated towards you in your campaign. Why do you think so many people are supporting you and what you're doing for state auditor with this important work?
Sure. So I think that you're a good representation of why I'm getting so much Democratic support, which I'm so honored for. Because I think, Delawareans, we can love and respect our Democratic leadership, but we still want to hold them accountable. And, there's going to be some subconscious bias or implicit bias if we were to elect a Democratic auditor who would then be monitoring fellow Democrats. So I think there's some cognitive dissonance with that formula, which is why we had a Republican auditor for so long. Because it's all about checks and balances. It's all about segregation of duties, which is the key component of auditing. You know, whether it's two people signing a check or, you know, one person handling incoming money, the other handling outgoing money, those are all components preventing fraud and waste. And having, you know, an entirely Democratic legislature and governor's office, having that Republican auditor is the segregation of duties. That's the analogy. And then you take into the fact that I've got the financial investigative background from being a New York cop, where I've investigated countless crimes, you know, investigated people for fraud, arrested people for fraud, issued subpoenas, you know, understand what knows the probable causes, you know, work with the AG's office, you know, have my MBA from Women's University, not taking money from any department head, which is also key to be independent. Yeah, I think that's in a nutshell. Steve. What do you think?
I think you hit it right. You know, hit the nail on the head. And then what he said at the end, not taking money from department heads. That's what we were just talking about. Not taking money from the governor or the Speaker of the House, council president, or taking endorsements from them at all. Not even, you know, you can vote for me. That's as far as an endorsement should go for this seat, because this job requires independence. And as you hear right now, James is very independent. He doesn't even want their, you know, public support or their money, because it could compromise him, and he is a man of integrity, and we won't let that happen. And so,
and it's not even about being compromised. It's about, you know, one of the values of the auditor's office is independence in appearance and independence in fact. And there's no way anybody can say that taking money from the department head, who is then under the investigation of the auditor's office, there's no way that doesn't violate that appearance of independence.
Mr. Spadola, let me ask this. As a Republican, what kind of response are you getting from grassroots residents who are Democrats? What are they saying to you when you go to them for votes? How are their response to you?
It's been a good response. I mean, I even the staunchest Democrats want to hold Democratic officials accountable. And once I explain that, you know, the auditor is not an ideological position in the sense that it has nothing to do with abortion or the Second Amendment or any other contentious issues that divide our country, it's nothing to do with national politics, but everything to do with checks and balances in Delaware. You know, you got to hammer home the point, as I try to, that no matter how angry you are at Trump or at Washington, that has nothing to do with holding our leadership accountable here in Delaware. And the response has been good. And, you know, there's got to be some people that won't vote for a Republican auditor, and that's fine. All I'm looking for is 60.1%. We're not greedy over here.
Yeah.
What are some of the issues affecting Delaware that, should you win your election, you'd like to tackle in your first 100 days in office?
Sure. So the first 100 days is laying the ground. Hello. Really laying the groundwork. One of the things that I want to do is set up a transition committee, which is generally done, you know, with the new government coming in for county, state, and city. Probably not traditionally done for an office, but I think it's something that needs to be done, especially with the turnover in the office. You know, we're down from 6 management employees down to 2, and looking to mend bridges with other department heads to let them know that the office is an ally, not an adversary. I mean, at the end of the day, we all want to limit the fraud rate and use taxpayer dollars. And it's just a matter of how fast we can get there. And, you know, I think I've got the background and the track record of harnessing technology, whether it's developing an app or our lead to report tips, harnessing GIS mapping for citizens to report traffic concerns. And we need to harness data analytics to own through transactions on, say, credit cards to help root out fraud. You know, be deeper involved with the cabinet. We have the auditors embedded in the cabinet to, you know, to help with the ongoing process of rooting out fraud and not just, you know, during budget.
Mr. Spadola, as most of the nation knows, fraud and cronyism and all that is pervasive in Philadelphia. Is it as problematic in Delaware as it is here? Don't I ask some good questions? I should have been a journalist.
Yeah, I think Philly's obviously a much bigger animal than Delaware.
I mean, taking into account the size.
Yeah. I mean, you're sure. I mean, just a couple weeks ago, 2 auditors got an award from the FBI because they had an integral part in getting 2 school principals arrested for embezzling around $150,000 each. So, that's the type of stuff that we need to be focused on and rooting out. But in terms of a widespread systemic problem, I don't think we have that. And I think because we've had an independent auditor, for the past 30 years. And I think that's a key part.
Mr. Spadola, are you traveling in a caravan right now, campaigning?
He's out sign waving.
Let me sign off if you don't mind. We're sign waving.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't saying that to complain. I just.
Sorry about all the background noise, but I just wanted to call in and give a shout out to Steve, #1 advocate for sure. Honored to have your support. And thank you all for chatting.
Well, before you go, let me ask you this question. So tell me about this young man in front of us here. Give me your impression of him.
What's that? I couldn't make that out.
Give us your impression of Keith, Keith James. Like, when you first encounter with this young man who sits up here and, asking you these questions, and he's like looking you up and down. He's sizing you, he's trying to figure out what is it about you that makes me say, I like him. I like his integrity. I like him to the point where I'm gonna go all out for him. What is your impression about Mr. James?
I could only make out around 50% of what you said.
Oh yeah. Well, James, just tune in on live, James, and you'll catch the response to it. But I know you're sign waving, and I know you got your family out there, so let's get to it.
Tell Mama I said.
All right.
Safe with Spadola.
All right, have a good campaign.
Thank you so much for calling in.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Anybody who's out there listening and they want to do just what Mr. Spadola did, you want to call in. Our number 484-477-6348. I have not remembered this number by heart. So every time I look, I don't know if y'all can see me on live, but I got this. Can y'all see me on live? I got a little number on paper here. 484-477-6348. That's the number to call in, Philly Hot Radio, and get your questions in.
I'll tell you one thing. I better not go to jail, because that's the only number I'm going to remember.
Look,
I can't remember. I do not know my mother's number. I do not know my mother's number. Technology has ruined me.
It has. I don't even try to figure out somebody's address.
I don't know your number.
Google. Well, I know mine, but that won't do any good if I need to reach somebody, because I'm like, just call my phone. Like, but you know what? This smartphone is so daggone dumb. Did you think when somebody stole it would say, yo, put me there?
I'm gonna tell you how dumb it is. I had to use my GPS to get from work to here, so I was going down to pick up Mr. James. GPS didn't avoid the traffic; it took me in the traffic.
oh man, you gotta get waves.
Yeah, I had waves. It was taking up too much of my space storage.
Yeah.
Okay. You was giving me the 5 minutes.
Let's get to this, because we got Spadola who called, and we got Keith James, we got the Republican on the phone, we got the Democrat in front of us. That's a nice, very interesting combination. And then we have. Now, you know what? You did touch on stuff that I like. I used to be a straight Democrat, but it was fortunate that the ones I was voting for anyway just happened to be Democrat. It wasn't until I took a spin that I'm sitting up here like, I got a Democrat in front of me who is pushing for a Republican, and the only Republican I can think of is Trump. And I'm like, yo, that's not good. But I'm always adamant about people voting not just because. Just because of their party affiliations, just because I know them, because just because at the end of the day means nothing. You know,
I don't even understand that concept of parties.
People always, but I have had the pleasure to meet Mr. Spadola on numerous occasions. I've sat in many of the meet and greets, these debates, and I've listened to each party spill out, you know, what they're about, you know, what they've done, you know, the new ones coming in, you know, their platforms. And I listen to them, and I listen to the answers carefully, and some of them didn't answer the questions. I'm like, yo, that's not what they asked you. They didn't ask you how you made a pizza.
Oh yeah, they're experts at avoiding the answer.
How you make cereal, you talking about peanut butter jelly. That's not what I'm talking about. But I like some of the things that Mr. Spadola stood for, and I'm like, I like him. It's interesting. I'm swaying towards Republican, and I'm like on Keith James' side. So there you go. You heard it first.
And I'll put it out there. I mean, for the state of Delaware, you know, I intend to vote for 3 Republicans in this next election.
3?
Yeah.
3?
Well, I'll be Mr. Spadola for state auditor, Ken Simpler for state treasurer, and Bernard, I don't want to mess up his last name. He always says it perfectly, you know. I don't want to mess it up. But they, you know, Delaware knows who I'm speaking of, and he is the Republican candidate for Attorney General, and he is a better representation of our state.
Right.
And so, you know, if you think about, like, you know, you see what's happening with Kanye and Trump.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's one of the topics that get people.
What do you think about that?
So there's a combination of things that go into a thought like that, you know, into a conversation like that. So there's the spiritual aspect of it. The spiritual aspect is me, the person, me, the being, and trying to be more like God. And understanding that God is love, I have to practice agape love. I have to practice unconditional love. I have to understand and love, or not always understand, but I have to love without conditions of my brothers and sisters. And so when we make certain statements that I don't agree with, I can't be quick to go out and say that I'm against you, or I'm against what you're standing for or staying. I need to look at it from a position of love. And where he's coming from, obviously in a time like right now, I can relate to some of the thought process that he's putting into it. I can't necessarily relate to how he's lining that up with the president of the United States. And so, like, to elaborate a little bit, with our president now, you know, or with the way Kanye is thinking and talking, he's essentially telling you guys what I'm telling you. He's saying it the more radical, like, crazy way, you know what I mean? And he's making some foul errors, like slavery was not a choice. You know what I mean? Certain things that you just don't talk about, or, you know, you don't say, get caught saying, there he is, you know, saying it.
It don't make sense.
However, what he's, you know, the tailored version of what he's trying to tell you is, don't let the traditional way or the slave mindset get you to just vote blue, 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 because that's what you're told to do. Because you're told that they help poor people and they care about poor people, and Republicans don't. You know what I mean? That's essentially what he's trying to tell you.
But couldn't he have just said that?
Yeah, he could have just said that, but Kanye always, and you gotta remember, this is the same person who had that statement about George Bush, and he's saying this about Donald Trump. And I think that there's also, you know, do I think that there's also some health or mental health issues that he could be going through that's not happening? I mean, because me, I try not to limit anybody's creative thought process. You know, I encourage all people to be unapologetically or unapologetic with their arts and their art and their craft. So if that's how he feels, by all means, rock out. But you're going to definitely hear what the opposite side has to say and what they feel. And a lot of the people who his music promotes to, they don't agree with his political stance.
I don't know too many people that do agree with his political stance, because when I dissect the little I heard, because I don't expose myself to much of it, but the little I heard is, well, Kanye, if you're listening, the little I heard is whack. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to judge you. You got a right to your expression, but it's kind of whack to me. But anyway, now that has, I mean, it has divided people. Not many. Most people think the same way I do. But there are some people who agree that Kanye may have had a point. What is it young people should know about this? Or what would you like young people to know about this this Republican Democrat divide and the need to exercise the civic duties.
I mean, yes, in America, yes,
very much.
Racial divides, but I mean, you know, I let young people know Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. He signed the Emancipation Proclamation. You know what I mean? That we didn't get until a year later, but that's another conversation, right? I'll let them know that Kanye West, you may not agree with his political stance, but you gotta love his freedom. You know what I mean? You gotta love the fact that in society, the way it is today, that he will even be that wild and free-minded to even get out there and say what he
I just hope he gets some help.
You know what I mean? And we say it from a perspective of hope he gets help because we don't agree with what he's saying.
No, because I know. Because I'm all for freedom of speech. I'm a journalist, so to me, to silence someone, because I get in like, and speaking of politics, I'm glad we're on the subject, because some of the most intelligent people that I have on Facebook, I guess, you know, people, the scholars, the activists, the lawyers, and for people, I even defend the right for people not to vote, and people. When people say I'm not voting, brothers and sisters will chop your head off if you say, look, I don't believe in the system, Democrat, Republican, or any, I bow out. And I disagree with that stance. However, I defend the right for people, just like I support the right for people. One person, one vote is one man, one vote, but we got women around too that need to vote. Everybody need to vote, but one person, one vote. I agree with that. I advocate. I never miss a vote, but I also defend the right for a person to make a conscious, as long as it's not out of ignorance, like somebody say, because they don't know, they're not aware. But if you consciously, like some people for religious reasons. Some people they know what our ancestors have been through. But they choose not to vote. But I defend that right. But I've seen on Facebook people call them ignorant, mother apples, this, that, you know. Or when you choose to vote Republican, you got a right to, or independent, you got a right to vote. Just vote Democrat.
I defend that thought if it's coming from a place of true education. If you're coming from a place of freedom, consciously aware. So consciously aware. That's I think if you're enlightened, right? If your idea of happiness, if your idea of success, if your idea of love, attaining that true peace that you want, requires you to stay away from certain practices that you don't agree with the foundation that they were built on, then that is your God-given right. You know, we are given life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? This is supposed to be the land of the free. And so I think what's going to happen is you're going to start to see our generation or my generation redefine what freedom means. And I think you're going to see a lot more spiritually free people in this next generation. And what does that look like? You see that we're having a lot more support, or a larger scale of support for the LGBTQ community, right? And it's because before, when it was not socially acceptable, and then a group made it socially acceptable and put it on a national platform to where, hey, you know what? We have these as human rights, and right, and we should be treated as humans. Because of what we decide to do in our life process has nothing to do with you, right? And so it's
that's another dispute I often get at.
True, you know, enlightened place. That's the most educated you can. That's the most educated choice you can make. Right. You know what I mean? So I think, you know, will I be voting for Donald Trump? No. You know what I mean? Do I support what he's doing? No. But I would tell you, before he was the president, I love Donald Trump, the celebrity. I just don't like the president.
Right. Two different things, a celebrity and a president. And I think he should have stayed a celebrity and left the presidency alone, because democracy is in danger. Sony gave me the 500.
Well, you know what? I'm not. I used to, because I followed Trump, but I guess I didn't dig too deep.
You got to change the way you said that. You don't follow Trump.
Well, but I didn't dig too deep into, you know, the things he was doing, because I'm looking at this, you know, this young man when he first started off, you know, got this money, started building these high-rises, these casinos, like,
cheating his workers, going bankrupt 11 times.
So I'm looking at the outside, and the outside, I'm like, wow, this man is like, oh, he's making the money, you know, he's getting these business deals, like he's like no games. And then later, here comes everything unfolding, you know, he's backbiting, and he was a racist then, you know, denying people jobs and housing and discrimination. And what threw me was when he really started to push for Atlantic City. He wanted that. And there was a house, it was an elderly lady that had this little house, I remember that. Her house sat where he wanted.
I remember that.
It was an extension, and he wanted that house to the point he forced her out. Why would you force grandma out? You just couldn't find another way out. He forced her out of the home, and now look, she doesn't have her home, and Atlantic City looks like.
Right. Karma. And there's a nice place in hell for people that rob and cheat and take old ladies out, kick old ladies out of their home. And I think there's a special place in hell. And a lot of them find themselves on a religious right or other parties. But I think there's a nice, a very cozy place in hell for people who do things like that.
I think that you have to remember that what happens is they're in a different realm. They pretty much look at us as a different community, different apart from them. And so when they're educated on certain things, they're looking at it as, hey, the law says it's where I can do it this way and get over this way on these majority of these group of people. You know what? I'm going to follow the law and do what is legal. Therefore, they see no wrong in it. It's almost like you know, feeling the pain and then, you know, feeling the spiritual pain and blaming the pastor, almost type of deal, you know what I mean? Instead of building your own relationship with the source and going to the source directly, you blame the person in the middle. It's like, okay, well, you got to look at the circumstances and the situations that create this from being possible to even happen. And with that, it's laws that allow that. Like the laws, it says police officers can use deadly force if an officer believes. That's the key word. If an officer believes. Do you believe in Santa Claus? Do you believe in God? Do you believe in the Easter Bunny? Do you believe in, you know what I mean? Like, it's the tooth fairy. Believe is just one of those words that is just like, if you change that word, it could change what happens, and you could have possibly see more police officers being held accountable. But what you don't see right now is the police officers that are still under fire and that are losing their lives every day doing the right thing. So just like how I wouldn't like anybody to alienate me as an African American because of what one or a group of African Americans did to them, I try not to do with police officers.
Oh, exactly. I got plenty of people in the force of my family, plenty of people who are friends who are on the force. And I'll still tell them some of the. I think I wish black cops would speak up more. You know, but that's another issue. That's another issue. One day we're gonna have to have some cops on here and say, why y'all so silent?
Before we close out, let them know.
We're not closing out. You gonna be here all night.
The book From Dope to the White House is on Amazon. Right? So that's on Amazon, From Dope to the White House.
From Dope to the White House.
Dope to the White House, by Keith James. And that just literally talks about the drugs I was exposed to at a young age, getting clean, cold turkey, and, you know, pushing this life of legislation. I will be considering running for office in 2020. Right now, my main objective and priority, though, is to make sure Keith James, the man, is correct in walking a path that is acceptable in my God's sight, you know what I mean, and making sure that I'm doing what's best for the people of not only my state, but I'm going to run for president in 2032. And I say that's going to be 37. I'll be young, you know what I mean? But what I'm going to do, I say that and I speak life into that so you can see, and so that the world can see when you speak life and you walk a certain path. They're going to be surprised in 2032. I'm going to say, I told y'all for 16 years, so why are you surprised? You know what I mean? It's just speak life into it and walk the walk. You know what I mean? Faith without works is dead. And so if you believe in it, if you speak life into it, and you actually walk that path, greatness is only can be the only outcome. So
one more time, the name of the book, where people can get it, and where they can not only contact you, but follow you.
Wilmington's 2020 Vision on Instagram, Keith James on Facebook. The book is From Dope to the White House by Keith James on Amazon. And yeah, Wilmington's 2020 vision. So that speaks a lot. That's the slogan for 2020. Wilmington's 2020 vision.
Okay,
They're just not sure what I'm running for yet, but that's why we leave them. That's why we leave them suspicious. You know, leave them wondering what is he going to do, because whatever I'm going to do, I promise, so it will be for the betterment of my community, the people, and it's all going to be a part of that 2032 plan. So,
well, thank you very much, and we have to come back and interview him solely on the book and the contents and all of that, Sonia.
Yeah, we have to.
We lost.
Yeah, we have to bring them back on.
Sonia's a little distraught, but
Yeah.
okay. Well, look, we appreciate you coming. You infuse a little hope. And another thing, don't give up on us old folk either.
oh no, not at all, not at all.
Because we too want some fresh blood. And to me, when I say fresh blood, I'm not talking about age. I'm talking about people with new vision, new ways of looking at things.
Without looking at it the way that we've been taught to.
Right.
No box.
We've been. You know what I find politically? Black folk has been trained and not educated.
Yes.
You know, we've been trained to follow a certain line. We've been trained to vote a certain way. We've been trained to be in a part of a certain party. And when you blow the whistle, we respond.
You gotta remember what Bloody Sunday stood for. Congressman John Lewis is still alive. He was on that bridge. That was not so long ago. They were dying and fighting for our rights. That was in his lifetime. He's still alive. Don't think that because slavery has quote unquote been over for so long, that the oppression and that the mental slavery does not still exist. And it's been implemented. Slavery is still legal in the form of punishment, which is incarcerated. If you are in prison, if you are a prisoner, you are subject to being treated or work as a slave. So it is. So you have to just we have to be mindful of that.
We went from chattel slavery to wage slavery to penal slavery, and it continues. I always say slavery hasn't ended. It's been transformed, and it keeps transforming itself, but it hasn't truly disappeared. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Visit
Nice to meet you.
DaxMedola.com for more information on James, or look up Wilmington's 2020 vision. If you Google Keep James Delaware, you'll find me. So.
Thank you again.
You heard it? You heard it.
We heard it.
Yeah, we heard it.
We heard it.
You heard?
And don't y'all be outside Philly Hot Radio talking about where that Republican reporter. We got his back. Don't come here looking for no trouble.
Yeah, I'm throwing some candy at you. Like,
She got her glasses
I got
on.
my glasses on. I want to make sure I'm catching everything.
She just took the glasses off. She like she mean business.
But we appreciate you coming out here, Mr. James. We do rocking your.
Had me stuck in traffic going the other. I could have went the other way. He already here.
Little shirt, you know.
If the politics stay the same way between now and 15 years, I will be running as a Democrat. But if politics opens its mind up, who knows? We might create our own party.
We need a new party for
We
real.
might just do that. We just might speak life into it right there. So.
Yeah.
Well, take my number with you. All right, thank you.
Okay. Well, appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to take a pause for the calls, and then when we come back, we are going to be
Talking about some stuff.
Talking about some stuff. So
Open topics.
yeah, open topics.
484-477-6348.
Yeah, holla at us.